Hello, it's Stuart, the unrepentant atheist, and we've got a call going back to 26th of February 2012. And Eric is calling in. Quite a, I don't know, he's got quite a sort of arrogant way about him. You'll see. He's essentially saying to Matt that clueless Christians are calling in and Matt's beating up on them because he's done all the research into the philosophical arguments and everything, and the average Christian that calls in is not prepared. And I think he's presenting himself as somebody who is prepared. So anyway, let's see where this call goes.
Yeah, I'm just saying from the
what gives
I'm
me
not necessarily addressing you, but
right.
Well, let me just say this.
What gives Matt any kind of an edge? Like, what makes you think Matt is some kind of a professional, or that he somehow has?
Let me tell you. Look, excellent question. Here's the reason why. Because 90% of the people who call in have probably never, at least atheists, have probably never studied theology and apologetics, and so Matt has fielded tons of questions, and he also is simply able to ask questions that may be apologetics 101, but the person who calls in doesn't know those answers.
Okay,
well, that's fairly irrelevant, because the object of the show is not to have Christians call in and be made fools out of. The object of the show is to present atheist rebuttals to theism, and Christians can call in and find themselves challenged by the arguments presented and go away and obviously reassess their position, which I would think puts them in a better position than they were before. So it's not a point scoring show, which is what Eric seems to be insinuating.
Shame on them for not studying their own religion.
Let me just say this. This is what I would like to do, Matt, if you're willing to. I'd like to go ahead and debate you.
Sure.
Oh, so some random Eric calls in and just boldly declares that he challenges Matt to a debate. Who the hell is this Eric? I mean, has he ever been heard of? Is he prepared to put up thousands of dollars to rent a conference suite in a hotel and pay Matt's expenses and his appearance fee? What a kind of arrogant, preposterous proposition.
When? I mean, do you have some way to arrange this?
How about right now?
Yeah. Did you hear what Matt said? He said when, and he said, do you have some way to arrange it? Which implies everything I just said. Are you going to promote it and put up the money, including my fee and all my expenses?
I'll debate you on air. Well, no, because what I want to do is
now he's just wasting time. He's called in. He's already been speaking for 5-6 minutes. He could have actually come on and said, I want to present you with my top argument for the existence of God. Let's go to it now, because I don't want to waste time setting up a debate. Let's just go for it.
Let me just say what we need to do is, in order to go ahead and debate, I would like to set it up where we have a formal procedure, and a significant part of that procedure needs to be cross-examination, and we'll go ahead and give time to make our point.
Well, this is just a standard debate format. Well, what is he talking about? There's no need to state on air exactly how the debate is going to be done and that we're going to have to organize it. There's a standard debate procedure. There's no need. Cross-examination is part of that procedure.
Points, and I'm willing to go ahead and have a few debates, and we can start the first debate.
A few debates. So he's suggesting a series of debates. Like Hitchens against D'Souza or whatever his name is, or Hitchens against William Lane Craig 1, 2, and 3. This guy is just unbelievable.
Made out simply on the existence of God. Because when we finish that, then I would go ahead and build upon that foundation after I go ahead and...
There won't be a foundation. There won't be a foundation to build on. But where and when do you want to do this? Because it's not happening on the show.
Right. I guess if this is the reason you called, this would have been much better suited for an email. This is not a call.
But I mean,
topic.
it's a topic we can discuss.
But yeah, that's fine. I mean, if Matt wants to do this, that's fine. It's okay for you to invite Matt to debate, and it's fine if you guys debate. But this should have been requested in an email.
Okay, so we wouldn't be able to do this on the show, Matt?
No,
I've had some previous experience debating, just so you know, so I'm familiar with the way the debate works, and I've debated some guys that you obviously know.
I don't care. It's one of those, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me if you'd never done it before, if you'd been doing it your entire life. When I went to this past debate this last Thursday, I didn't even bother to look up anything about the person I was debating until the day before the debate when I was in the airport, because it doesn't matter to me the person who's making the argument or what their credentials are. Their arguments stand or fall on their own merits. That's just the way it is. Now, the reason we can't do a formal structured debate on this show is because we've tried in the past to have really long calls, and it hurts the show. This is a call-in show, but I'm happy to debate, as long as it's not, just us two sitting around coffee talking, which I've done before too. But I would prefer there be somebody to see it, because the chances of you changing my mind or me changing your mind are probably pretty slim. So it needs to be, you need to figure out when and where you want to do this. Make it a deal. I'll talk about it on the show.
Brilliant. I love the way Matt puts all that. He's putting all the responsibility. This guy probably called in thinking, I challenge you to a debate, and then Matt and the Atheist experience is going to do all the organization. They're going to put up the money. They're going to find the venue. They're going to find the audience, etc., and they're going to pay his fee. And no, Matt's done the right thing. He's putting all of it. You set it up, and okay, I'll be there. And part of setting it up in the fine print is going to be the fee and the expenses. And there's no doubt that would be a stumbling block, because Matt will just say, okay, well, I'll need $2,000 fee for an evening, and I'll need, say, $500 per evening at 3 evenings to cover my expenses. And then the whole thing will fall flat, because the guy just hasn't got those kind of resources or promotional capability to put that kind of thing together. I have, actually, but I'm not going to get into it. I'm not interested.
Post it on Facebook and we can do it. It's not like I've ducked anybody who's ever asked to debate.
Right.
Unlike William Lane Craig.
Yeah. But let me ask you, the formal debates that you've had, do you feel like you lost any of those debates?
No.
Is that right? And
well, I mean, if he felt like he lost any of the debates, he'd be converting to theism. He'd be taking $1 million from the Templeton Foundation for coming out as a famous atheist who's now converted to theism. Because, I mean, let's face it, if Matt really was really persuaded that there was a God, he woke up one day and said, oh my God, all this atheism stuff is nonsense. There really is a God. I've got faith. I can feel it here. He might as well give the Templeton Foundation or whoever a call and say, look, I've got a proposition for you. I mean, he might as well make money out of his gullibility.
The opposing side say, the theist side.
Well, they would say I lost every one of them, probably.
Really? Okay.
Don't you think that that's the way most debates
Well,
look?
of course it is. I've only got to look around debates going on, theist against atheists. And if you read through the comments, all the Christians are saying, oh, the atheist was trounced, he didn't have a word. The theist ran rings around him, and the atheists are saying, oh, same old well-worn arguments. That's the way it goes.
Look,
not the debates I've had.
From the standpoint of most, oh, really?
Yeah, when I debated George Smith, you can go on the internet, and it says that it was very unsatisfying watching an atheist get trounced.
I said most, I didn't say all.
Right, yeah, that's what.
George Smith, does anybody know who he is? Does anybody know who this clown Eric is, who's calling in, claiming that he's a, I don't know, credible debater?
I'm just saying.
You don't think that most debates, most people probably come out with an opinion in favor of the person that they had an opinion with when they walked in?
Okay, so we're going to go to, he does eventually get around to presenting his argument. Okay, so here goes Eric. He's decided to put forward his principal argument with premise number 1.
And premise number 1 is simply that something cannot come from nothing.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Not a something cannot come from nothing argument. I don't believe it. We waited all this time for a something cannot come from nothing argument. I don't believe it. Even the most basic Christians that have not done any research whatsoever, if you pin them down and say, why do you believe in God? Once they've gone through faith, etc., they'll say, well, look, something can't come from nothing. And this guy's coming on saying that he's claiming that he's a proper debater, and he's going straight to something cannot come from nothing. I don't believe it.
I trust you accept that.
No, I don't.
Okay, so you're going to now let's go ahead and do this, Matt. If you're going to go ahead and you're going to reject it, I'm more than happy to have you reject it. But in order to do that, since you're so scientific and so reasonable, you're going to base everything you believe upon evidence. What I want you to do is, if I said to you, Matt, fire does not burn paper, you're going to go ahead and you're going to say, well, you know what, we got a billion examples where fire burns paper. Now, you just said that something can come from nothing. I want you to go ahead and give me the scientific examples where something came from nothing.
You know, Matt did not state that something can come from nothing.
And I know you're not going to go to the Lawrence Krauss example, because you and I both know that when Lawrence...
And this is the beautiful thing about rebutting these premises, that we don't know. It may well be the case that something can come from nothing. We don't know. We haven't got the conditions where we can put it to the test, unfortunately, so we'll have to just say we don't know. It kind of collapses the whole argument.
Krauss talks about something coming from nothing, that he's talking about empty space with low level of energy. I did not say empty space and low level of energy. I said nothing. So if you're going to counter the point, simply go ahead and give me the reason and the scientific evidence where you have nothing and something has come from nothing. Can you give me one example where that happened?
Are you done now?
Yeah, and Matt doesn't have to demonstrate that. On the contrary, the person who's making the claim, or the person who's presenting the premises, has got to demonstrate the truth of the premises. So it's up to him to demonstrate that something cannot come from nothing. And I don't know how he's going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you said something cannot come from nothing, and you thought I would agree with you. And I'm not asserting that something can come from nothing. My position was that I do not necessarily accept that something cannot come from nothing. And
Okay,
I was,
now-
in fact,
now again,
I
you're
was
trying to be a
in.
reasonable
You
person
better
based on
let me.
belief upon
You
evidence.
better let me
I'm just
finish.
asking you, can
You
go ahead
better
and give
let
the
me
listening audience
finish.
any evidence for that?
You better let me finish, or I'm going to hang up on you. Do you
Okay.
not understand the difference between I do not accept X and I think X is false? Do you not understand the difference?
Yes, I did.
Okay, what I said was I do not accept necessarily that something cannot come from nothing. I did not assert that something can come from nothing. I was going to go to the Lawrence Krauss example specifically so that we could actually have a discussion about what you mean by nothing, because what physicists mean by nothing is different from what other people mean by nothing. And I needed to do that for clarity.
Okay, what I mean by...
Yeah, I liked that. Watched a Bertrand Russell debate recently. I can't remember the name of the person he was debating, unfortunately. But we came to this causation argument, and Russell's response to it was that the causation argument is valid within the whole, but it may not be valid to the whole. And I actually like that a lot. He's not saying that it's not valid to the whole. He's saying it may not be valid to the whole, which leaves the whole thing open and collapses the entire theist case.
Nothing is non-existence.
Sure, and I still don't accept that is a truism. I accept that inductive reasoning would lead us to believe that that's most probably true, but we cannot assert absolutely that it is impossible for something to come from nothing, because there is no way to examine and test that.
Okay,
So are you agreeing with that?
okay, no, I don't. What I think is interesting.
Why don't you
I'm willing
agree
to
with
go
it?
ahead and agree with it, but as long
Well,
as
he's not agreeing with it because that's the end of the call.
you're willing to agree that the evidence that we have indicates we have no positive evidence that shows that something comes from nothing.
Do we
Sure.
have an
You agree
example
with
of
that?
nothing?
But sure, but we don't have,
Okay.
as Tracy pointed out, we don't have an example of nothing from which
Okay,
to draw.
as long as you would agree with that, and not only that, but keep this in mind, Matt. If we assume that something can come from nothing, then all science goes out the window anyways.
We're not
because
assuming that.
Science is entirely based upon the law of cause and effect.
We're not
And so-
assuming that. We're not assuming. How many times do I have to explain this? We're not assuming that something can come from nothing. I'm saying that the simple assertion that it is impossible for something to come from nothing is a position that you have not actually justified. And if you just appeal to all of the evidence that we have available, you are making a huge argument from ignorance right off the
Right.
beginning.
Because we don't have nothing available to examine.
Yeah, and the point about science, he's saying that all science can go out of the window if we say that something can come from nothing. Obviously, Matt's not saying that something can come from nothing, but he doesn't necessarily know that something can't come from nothing. And coming back to Russell's point about the law of causation applies within the whole, but not necessarily to the whole. The same thing can be said about science, that the scientific laws apply within the whole, but may not apply to a big cosmic event. Yeah. So I think that what he says about you can throw science out of the window is just complete nonsense.
Correct?
Okay.
Correct?
No, I don't think that is correct.
Well,
I think it's very possible for if you were going to go ahead and make the claim. It's sort of like when I say there's a God.
How do you prove?
When
How do
I
you
say that
prove?
there's a God?
How do you prove that something can't come from nothing?
Now, do you notice what you just did?
Yes,
You
I put the
just
burden
asked
of
the
proof
same
on your
question
damn claim.
that when a Christian calls in and says that there's God, you say, how can you go ahead and prove that God doesn't? When they call in and say, or you ask the question, how can you prove that God doesn't exist? It's not up to
Correct.
you.
Well, he's dancing around now, trying to shift the burden of proof.
To argue that God doesn't exist.
Correct.
I believe it's up to the Christian to prove God exists.
Correct.
So
And
in this case, it's not up.
Correct. And for the person who's asserting that something can't come from nothing, it is their responsibility to prove their case. Can you do that?
There you go. So can we accept premise one and I'll move to premise two?
No. Can you demonstrate premise one?
Premise one is demonstrated by the fact that the only example of anything that we have is that every effect has a cause. For something to come into existence, it can.
First of all, you changed all the language in there, but premise number one is something that needs to actually be demonstrated, and my question to you was actually, can you demonstrate it? And so far, the only thing you've offered is that, well, all the evidence that we have seems to point that direction, and we don't have any evidence that contradicts it. Well, that's really cool, and it's a good way to say that it's probably true that something can't come from nothing, but it is not an absolute.
What we have demonstrated.
Okay, let's do this. You know what, man? I'm happy to say it's probably true, because I think that the evidence sides with that.
Sure.
Point. So how about if we just say, you know what, it's probably true, and if you can figure out a way to contradict it.
Well, if it's probably true as a premise, it's still not enough. It's got to be demonstrated to a higher level of confidence than just probably. Probably just means more than 50%, doesn't it?
Then we'll accept it.
No.
Well, I have something I just want to assert. What you're really asserting, and the thing that is demonstrable, is something can come from something. We don't have a nothing to see whether or not anything can come from it. So that a claim that regards nothing is a useless claim. All what you're saying is we have a lot of examples of something coming from something. In fact, every example we have is something coming from something else. And I understand that, but
Okay, I apologize. We've skipped right to the end of the call because it was really just 5-6 minutes of Tracy screaming, "Show me a nothing from which we can test." So we've skipped past that. We're going right to the end, and here it is.
What are you talking about? What are we talking about when you say nothing and you start making?
I just want to know. You know what? Let's do this. Let's go ahead and assume that you're going to reject this point. Are you going to go ahead and you're going to go on record as saying that you believe something can come from nothing?
No, he has not said that.
No, sir. And if you twist my words one more time to make me say something that I most definitely did not say and have corrected you on multiple times, not only will I hang up on your ass, but you can forget debating because you're demonstrating an incredible amount of dishonesty. Do you get that?
No, I don't think it's dishonest at all, Matt.
Okay, so that's the end. Obviously, Matt just hung up on him at the end, and it was dishonest because they've been on this argument now where he presented his premises, or his first premise, for 9 minutes, and he spent the whole time when Matt said he doesn't necessarily accept that something can't come from nothing. Eric just kept saying, "So you're saying that something can come from nothing, then?" And Matt said, "No, that's not what I'm saying." And they just went on, and in the end, he just kept twisting it like that. And Matt obviously put the phone down on him, and he also said, "You can forget about debating." So okay. I don't really think I've got anything to add to that. Just another very disappointing something can't come from nothing call. And I wish that Christians would not keep coming back to this, because it's so easily defeated. Okay, that's all for now. I'll be back again soon with another call. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.